First of all, I think we all came kicking and screaming. We all thought that maybe she would forget about this whole idea of getting us together and standing up in front of you all. And, you know, they would talk about, you know, their fears of having diarrhea before they'd sleep, or how Beth Moore always is nauseous, and my fear is a little more than that. Last time I really got up to say anything, I felt like I was going to pass out, so I sat down and put my head between my knees, and not realizing that cut off the circulator, you know, like the airway. And the next thing I knew, 911 had been called. I was in the Three Rivers Hospital. And when they kept me overnight, and they were just going to let me go. They said it was an anxiety attack, and they let me go. And then they thought maybe it was long QT syndrome, where you can die suddenly of a heart attack when you have adrenaline rush. So for me to get up here is very good. But Pam promised if I passed out, she'd let me flat.
I got it covered.
And Teresa's a nurse in the ER there. But I want to know that this isn't even in anything that I was going to share, but that when I left that hospital, they restricted me on a lot of things, and I didn't want to live in fear. Fear of driving, or fear of speaking in front of people. So, I thank you all for coming, and this is an opportunity for me. And I thank Pam for putting this together. So, I wanted to share with you about what happened on Memorial Day back in 2006. As Pam said, I have 6 daughters. Well, 5 of my daughters and I were all swimming in the pool that day. And we had been swimming for probably about 5 hours. It was supper time, and we were getting ready to go in for supper. And Gabrielle, who was 10 at the time, asked me, "Mom, would you watch me swim underwater across the pool and back?" And I thought, watched you swim underwater before, but all right. And our pool is 28 feet wide. And so I stood on the ladder, and she swam away from me. Well, first she swam towards me, and then she turned and she swam away from me. And as she swam away from me, I was watching her, and she stood up. When she finished, she stood up against the edge of the pool, and she placed her goggles on the edge of the pool. She immediately slipped under the water. And I hollered at one of my daughters, Connie, to grab her and to throw her over the edge of the pool to me, and I ran around. And when she threw her over the edge of the pool to me, I looked down and I knew she was dead. I knew she was gone. And so I quickly laid her on the ground and hollered at my other daughters to go in and wake up their dad. He wasn't taking a nap, and hollered at the other girls to please call 911. And my husband got out there and began CPR, and I ran in the house and to make sure the girls had managed to reach 911. And I ran back out, and Gabby still wasn't breathing, and we were just frantic. And, you know, Bob, we thought we heard something, so we rolled her on her side. And when we rolled her on her side, she began vomiting, and she came to. And by this time, the ambulances were all arriving, and they checked her out and couldn't find anything wrong, so they just told us to take her to the family doctor, you know, on Monday, or you know, next day, and you know, make sure everything was all right. So they all left, and Bob went in and took a nap with Gabrielle. And when she got up, she came in my office, and I asked her, I said, "Gabby," I said, "you know, what happened there? You know, what was it? You know, what do you think happened?" And she said, "Well," and the following is her story. She said, "I was walking hand in hand with someone in a long, bright robe. At first I thought it was my best friend Anna. But when I looked up," and she's squinting as she's looking up, she said she realized that that person was too tall to be Anna, and the person's hand was too large to be hers. She said, "We were walking down a long, bright, never-ending hall. He was dressed in all white, but she couldn't see his face because it was too bright. Now I say he, but at the time there was no gender. And she said she had on white clothes, and I asked her, I said, Gabby, was everything white? The hall, your clothes, was everything white? And she said, Mom, no. She said, my hair was brown. She said, it was the same me, just a different me. My skin was whiter, my hair was still brown, and as we walked along, we talked. And then he turned to me and said something that I can't remember. Next, I went into darkness and woke up throwing up. My mom asked me if I'd wanted to come back, and I said, no, but I'm happy I'm here now. It's hard to explain how I felt there, but I was the happiest, most peaceful, most joyful I'd ever been. Later, when I thought about what had happened, it came to me that this side of heaven, Bob and I were frantic, but Gabby's side was peace, joy, and happiness. It was the same event, just two different sides. How often do we only see that one side, the earthly side? It's like the analogy of the quilt, the side with all the knots representing earth, and the beautiful pattern on the other side representing heaven, and how God takes all these knots and threads and pieces it together to make a beautiful masterpiece for each of us. Thank you.